This lesson is about multiplying monomials. It is a really straightforward thing that's easy to understand and actually easy to remember too, if you can remember why the rules are as they are. In this entire unit, each different topic is pretty simple. It becomes more challenging when you have to remember which rules to apply to which situation. As we've seen in a previous lesson, adding monomials is just a matter of combining like terms. If I have 3x squared y plus 5x squared y, I have 3 of this number added to 5 of this number, and it gives 8 of that number. In other words, I'm adding my coefficients, the number in front, and the variables and exponents stay the same. Let's look at what happens if I multiply these same monomials. Notice that when I'm adding, I must have like terms. That's not the case in multiplication. 3x squared y times 5x squared y really is just about expanding each of these monomials. We know that 3x squared y means 3 times x times y. And since I'm multiplying, I've got 5 times x times y. The reason why I need like terms up here is because I have the 3 and the x squared and the y are multiplied together, but then I've got this adding in between. So that's what makes it different. In this, if I put these next to each other, everything is multiplied together. The commutative property of multiplication tells me that changing the order in which I multiply numbers does not change the answer. In other words, 3 times 5 is 15, and 5 times 3 is also 15. Order doesn't change the answer. Because of that, I could restate this particular expression. I can change the order. I can make it have the two coefficients go in the front. The variables that are the same go together. And from here, I can see that this is just the expanded form of the monomial 15 x to the fourth y to the second. If you just take a minute to step back and think about this, you can see that you didn't even really have to expand it. You can see that 3 times 5 is 15. I've got x to the second and x to the second. That means I've got a total of x to the fourth. And although there's no exponent there, that makes that y to the second. This rule for multiplying monomials is pretty simple. We multiply the coefficients. Remember, that's the number in front. You really need to remember that. This unit, multiply the coefficients and add the exponents. Not all together, but just of the ones that are the same. So I'm going to call those the common bases. In other words, I didn't add all the x's and the y's. I added the x's to the x's and the y's to the y's. And that's really all you need to know about multiplying. As I said, the hardest thing is just to remember the difference. When I'm adding, I add the coefficients and the variables and exponents stay the same. When I'm multiplying, I multiply the coefficients and I add the exponents. If you can always revert back to the expanded form and the reason for the rule, you should be just fine.